Hi there everyone, this is Chris with Peace of Mind Art and Craft, and today I'm here to give you a little demo or instructions on making a slow stitch in a hoop. Brings me back to the days when I embroidered a lot when I was a kid, and then actually up through adulthood, and I did all kinds of embroidery. I did with the cotton thread, and then also with the crewel. I did a lot of crewel work. And crewel is like embroidery only, and you use the same stitches, only you use yarn instead of thread. And usually wool yarn is used. And I don't know if you guys remember, but back in the day, the kits used to be really popular. The crewel kits, where they'd have the design, and the embroidery kits as well, thread kits, and of course counted cross stitch kits, where they'd give you a kit and then they'd give you they'd have the design on the fabric, and then they'd give you the thread or the yarn to create the kit with. And I did a lot of those, and I used the hoop. Recently I've been seeing where they actually use the hoop to display the piece. And so I wanted to try one of those. What I'll do is, after I finish it, I will put it inside the hoop and get rid of the excess fabric on it by cutting it, and then probably gluing it into the inside of the hoop. And then I'll take this excess fabric down into the back, and then of course cover the back with another piece of fabric. So I'll show you this when I have it finished. But I just thought I'd try some slow stitch on here. What I did first was I took a piece of old lace that I liked, and I sewed that down just kind of on the top. I haven't sewn down this part yet. And then I took some fabric and I cut out circles. This was actually cut out of a flower motif, these daisies, and then I cut some out of just a patterned gold and purples fabric for the other flowers. So I have like 7 flowers there. I'm gonna embroider some flowers also, and I may use some buttons. I have a packet of these buttons here that already have the thread on them. Which I may use. May just use, of course, regular buttons. I have my collection of buttons from Agnes. Okay, so let's get started here, and I'll show you kind of how I'm doing the stems. I show you this stem stitch. It's coming down from this flower. I'm going to try to catch the back of the muslin in there also. Sometimes if it gets a little bit too thick, you can just sew it down to the back of whatever fabric's underneath it. You don't have to sew it clear through to the whole thing, but I think we'll be okay. Okay, and this is the stem stitch. It just makes a stem. You put your thread to the side like that, and then you come up right where you left, pull, and then that thread continues. Then you bring it back over. I usually hold the thread over on the side like that, come up, you left off, and then pull. Okay, and you can turn as you go. You could turn excuse me, thank you. You can turn this to go any direction you want. I'm just going to have it come down a little bit longer, just to kind of show you. It could go over the top of this other stem. as well, which I think it's going to do. Now notice how I'm going over that lace also. So it's gonna be a little more difficult to go through all those layers. So I'm taking my time. Turning it. Like so. Okay. Now sometimes when you turn it, it gets a little bit off kilter there, and then that's okay. You can on the next one you can make it match better. I'm going over kind of a lumpy part of the lace. Okay, another thing I can do to kind of get it back into is to go right over that thread so it kind of tacks it down, so it doesn't lift up. I'm going to make probably one more part of this stem to go down just a little ways longer. We're all doing okay in February. Okay, and then to end off this, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to go strand or put my needle on the other side of that last thread and then come down. Okay, now I do want to put a few little leaves here. So I'm going to go on the back and go up to the place where I want the leaves to start. On the back, and then I will start making a few leaves. I think I'll make it over the top of this flower that's here, kind of tack it down the edge of that flower. This is the lazy daisy stitch that I'm doing here for the leaves, or you can call it the leaf stitch, I guess, if you want it. Coming up near the stem, making a loop, going back near the same place, and then coming up on top of this loop here, and pulling. And then going back down. Okay, I'll make a couple more leaves on there. I'm not sure yet if I'll do another video on this or just show you what I've done. Probably just show you what I've done. Some more leaves on here. There are so many different kind of flowers that you can make too. That these are ones that are using pieces of fabric, and I told you about the last time or the time before, I think I told you about how I've been starting to use these pieces from the flowers that you get at Hobby Lobby or anywhere that are, they call them silk flowers, but they're actually made out of acrylic. And you could put some of those in there too. That would be pretty. Might put one of those over there. Not sure yet. I'm just kind of going by by what I feel on this slow stitch, which is usually the way that I do it. You can actually draw on your like a pattern, or transfer a pattern from a like a floral pattern onto the muslin, and then put it on the hoop and embroider it, slow stitch it. The difference between just embroidering and slow stitching is, with slow stitching you have some of the fabric and the other little thing, buttons and different other things to put in there with the embroidery. Okay, and I think I'm gonna down up here for the next stem. See a little stem peeking through that background fabric. Now I'll show you what I did on these fabric. Is before I put the French knot in, I did 4 stitches to the middle, from the outside to the middle, and that kind of tacks down those circles, and then I put the French knot in there. You do it like that. You could just maybe come up here with some black thread or white thread and stitch in those tiny little veins in the petals. Lots of different ways to do it. Now, those of you that aren't familiar with using the hoops, you can, it'll start to loosen up a little bit, and what you can do is you can kind of just pull it to kind of, and of course if you want to take it off, then you undo this. This is like the little screw that holds it together. If you want to loosen it up or tighten it up, you do that. You turn towards you to loosen it, and against you to tighten it up. But as I'm working, I just kind of pull it, just don't tug on it real hard, because you might rip the fabric. But let's go like that. Okay. Okay, the next thing I want to show you while I finish up this stem stitch, I think I'll have enough to finish it down a ways, is I'm going to put a ribbon around the circumference of the circle. I'm going to use this this ribbon, which is really seam binding, so that I can ruffle it up as I go, fold it up as I go, so it'll go around the circle. And I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, I'm going to go down here, because see how this part of the stem stitch is kind of loose here? Just got loose for some reason. I didn't pull it enough or something. I can go back near that stitch, come up, and then strand across it to bring it down, and then that helps it lay flat. Go to the back here. I'm out of thread, so I'm going to go ahead and bury my thread in the back, and I can clip it off. Okay. My pin cushion for this needle. I've already threaded another needle. What what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up here. For this, I'm just going to use a straight stitch. And I'm using a color of thread that's a little bit darker than the lavender, but, you know, kind of matches it. And I'm just going to make the straight stitch as I go. And then also fold the ribbon as I go to tack it down. And as I go along, I can turn it in a different direction than I want it to go. I'm going to try to stay down the middle of the ribbon as I go along. If you're doing this with a wider ribbon, you can always and you can go the other way too. You don't have to just make all the folds go in the same direction. Let's try one here that there we go. See how that one goes in and up? These were going down. You can twist them a little bit too. This is a little bit slower than just regular straight stitching on the fabric because you're having to just go one stitch at a time. Okay, I'll give you a close-up of how that's going. It's pretty. Now, if you do run out of, if you didn't cut your ribbon long enough, you can just start another piece. Which may or may not happen with mine. I'm not sure yet if I have enough to go all the way around. Or I might not even want to go all the way around. It just depends on the look that I want to get. I have to figure out one way. Okay, I think it went through here. There. And you can press it flat a little bit with your fingers as you go. Excuse me, and I'll get a drink here. Okay. I've really been busy on my Etsy shop. A lot of people have been purchasing my slow stitch kits, which is great. I love that. I came out with a new one in December, which is the slow stitch kit, the beach house. It's kind of inspired by my trips to the beach last year, especially the one to Maine. the beach in Maine. The beaches in Maine tend to have more of a rocky beach area, whereas, of course, the ones down in Florida, their terrain is more sandy and palm trees and so on. Beaches are a popular place to kind of dream about during these days of winter, for those of us that live in the colder climates. I'd like to go to Hawaii someday. My husband has been before. Right when he met me, actually, he had already scheduled a trip to Hawaii with his friend. His friend was going to a wedding of a buddy of his that he had known in Vietnam, and he asked John to go along with him, and John went, and he had a really nice time. These people that were getting married were originally from Hawaii. They were native Hawaiians, and so they had the different traditions and stuff. And what I remember about it is that John came home with like a garland of these beautiful birds that the woman had made for her wedding. They were the origami birds that she had folded, and there was like 20 of them in a garland. Just gorgeous. And she didn't even know me, and she made these for me. Anyway, so someday I'd like to go to Hawaii. Okay, so coming along, showing you how to do that. And I'll continue on that all the way around. Some I might cover over some of this lace, which is fine, to get more of a circular. What I'm trying to do is try to get a circular look going around. It doesn't have to be exact, of course. And then I can, if I wanted to, I could put some buttons on as flowers. It's a pretty blue one. Like I said, I'll come back again and I'll show you what I've done with this to finish it off and to show you the end result. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And thanks for watching my channel and going to my Etsy shop. I really appreciate all my subscribers.